crazy thing of doing all 3 shows in a row, and many of you, I think, are going to see them all today for the first time, which is very exciting. And how many of you have already seen part 1 in some kind of version, like in a rehearsal or something? How many of you have seen part 2 already? Okay. And how many of you have seen part 3 already? Wow, look at that. So we got a lot of returnees. How many of you are staying today to see all 3 of them again? Oh, whoa, that's incredible. I didn't know one.
In Akron, it's like little enough where you can make a difference, but big enough where really you're having an impact upon the entire Northeast Ohio community. So that's what keeps us here.
We do. I think that it's got its own personality. It's close enough to everything. You know, you can get to Cleveland, you could get to Pittsburgh, you can go to Canton. You know, we can go to all these places. Columbus is accessible.
Oxford, you know, England. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in DC. I'm really putting down roots here, and I'm happy about it. There's a lot of amazing people here. There's a lot of spiritual people here. There's a lot of like very conscious people here that don't just talk the talk, they actually walk the walk. And I feel like the size of Akron is actually really great for that. It's not too big and it's not too small. I feel like it's the right size of place for someone who really has a passion to make a difference to actually be able to make a difference. And things like this is a beautiful surprise. I had no idea.
They give beautiful beads to our wives. And they give us a small fish on flat containers. They give us aguardiente. And we give them cajuana.
For us it was very important because, especially for me as a Colombian too, the Amazon is still a very mysterious area, even for the Colombians. So we don't know very much about them. So this was the opportunity to say, oh, let's look there directly what happened there. And there we start to discover the genocide, the torture, the killings.
The performance really made me think about the privileges and benefits that we in the city have because of what happened to thousands and thousands of people in South America and in other parts of the world.
I kill all, save one, my own dog, because he's wise and quiet, like a witoto. We heard the Blancos shout to the forest and shoot 3 times. Let us go away from here. My wife Okote begged me. It is not safe. I heard consort with other men who were left of my nation. Yes, let's go away.
That certainly reminds us that everything we have comes at great cost somewhere. And yeah, that was really powerful.
Him always say to the actor, show me something, and I will see what we can do. So I work like 1-2 months alone, really. I came to the space, empty space, and I start to move and to find actions, to find objects. Many of the objects that we use were there in the theater, and I just like found it, And then after 2 months, Jim said, now you have something? I am very busy, so if you have something, I go and see it and we see it. So he came, and he was interested by what he saw, okay? Because I did the milk, and he said, oh, these kind of magic moments. maybe if we can find other magic moments, would be good. So the water is one of the magic moments. And we start to look and we say, the ball is another magic moment. So this kind of magic moments, I didn't really think, but Jim came and started to give a little more texture to the line of actions.
I live in Durham, North Carolina now, and Durham's big industry was tobacco, and how the parallels between the tobacco industry and the rubber industry are really interesting.
This is what there is to tell.
I don't even know that I can come up with a word, but it brings out a lot of emotion when I hear him tell his story and realize that that's a story of a lot of people, not only then, but now. And so I don't know that that's so much a story of Akron as it is of a story of people.
Yeah, it was an interesting process because the way JT works is that he's just such a brilliant musician that he just plays it. And coming from a classical background, I said, I need music. I'm just not the kind of musician that can just hear something and learn it. I have to, if I see it written down, I can sight read it, no problem. So for a long time, I didn't have any of the songs. So I had a lot of time to just tackle the dialogue.
Call me as now.
That is just about the worst song in the history of singing. Once I got the music, because of my background, that was much easier for me because I heard everything and it just made sense to me. And then I sort of settled into it totally because it was like, now I have the songs and it goes with the words I've been doing, and so it's making more sense. Was he sharp? Hell no. But he held me so gently in the cradle of his smile. Was it fast? Hell yes, but I made it last. A lot of the other people in the cast are from Akron, and there's just such strong Akron pride. Everybody's like talking about different neighborhoods, and JT especially talking about Goosetown, and I didn't get to do the Goosetown tour because that was the same day as the show. And I have a couple kids, so there's only so much time I can be down here. But we did go to the brewery one night, which was so cool, because that's the brewery that Edvard drowns himself in, and there actually is a river under there, but it's only about that deep, so he'd have to like put his face in it. They found it the next morning in the basement of the brewery. There is no blood, Margarita cried as she held her baby boy's body, but she did not weep. There is no blood, she said over and over. If there is no blood, he will be found.
Well, I got to see Goosetown today, and I have seen it before. In fact, I've probably seen it 3 or 4 times. Laura Valenza is my partner at the Center for Applied Drama and Autism, so we came to support Laura. And I also love Akron history, so I've been seeing all of the plays over the past 2 years, and I could not pass up on the opportunity to see all 3 in one day.
I'm totally learning things new. My wife grew up here, but her people are from West Virginia, and I understand more about that now. It's got me really interested about the whole topology of this area, like where are the valleys, where are the rivers, the hidden rivers. Yeah, I want to explore that stuff. It's got me.
Soon all Goosetown on that big tower. Just look up when the bell chimes, see the time of day, clear to Pittsburgh.
I don't approve. Looks like an enormous schwanz.
In Goosetown, the union never actually forms in a good way to get things done. And my character sells out. As an audience member said to me, he said, after seeing Goosetown and then Industrial Valley, said, "Ah, you came back to redeem yourself, and you actually did some good for the union." And I was like, "Well, yes, I guess you could say that."
Broken threads, 10 hours a day, 10 cents a day. Machines built for the low hands of little children. Solidarity forever.
Yeah, so I feel
On
like
your quest for knowledge.
exactly.
too.
I feel like they've lit a new flame inside of me to get me interested in the land that I'm living in now and the history of the people who built the buildings that I'm living and working in, and how that happened, how I'm an heir to that, how I was complicit in that sin, for want of a better word, how my history was in some way complicit, and how I can be creative in meeting the fruits of all of that now.
All of Europe, blind-eyed, while the enslaved, tortured, raped 10 million savages, humans.
But I feel that. Because we caused a lot of misery all over the world. The Congo story is beyond words.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I haven't seen Goosetown as much as the other ones, so when I heard the Congo story again and the hands being cut off, and it was like, oh, wow.
The captain, he come to me, and he said to cut off his left hand. Look in his eyes. He chanted his tribes, Kasala, and I did it. I took off his hand.
Being desperate for a job, but having quite a knack for organizing men to do some good, to strike back. He was given an eviction of
taking on something like a giant book and trying to bring it to life. I didn't know how it would ever happen. I don't know, it started small. I remember the first day of rehearsal was kind of about getting to know each other. And it was like strangers on the first day of school type of thing. Kids being awkward and stuff.
Police officer frozen in the bank!
county funds are frozen in the bank. Nobody may ever get any money again!
Panic spreads over West Hill! Housewives who still have cash on hand rush out to buy huge hams!
Basically, Jim had us order the book and we read it at our own pace. And then he would assign stories to certain people. And so you would just find a way of telling that story. Some people chose to put a story into a song, some people chose to put a story into a poem. So you have like this eclectic ways of storytelling.
8 years ago I got married. That's when we moved to North Hill. Now me and my man are both working. We got jobs at the old rubber mill. Rubber town, good night. Rubber town, good night. You hum, you throb, you stink, you smell, you make my
Like Job and Liz and Tom are the only characters that never really existed. They kind of represent every person in that situation. Everybody else is an actual character or an actual person that lived, but Job, Liz, and Tom are actually the only ones that never really lived. They're complete fictional characters based off of like the archetype of the rubber worker and the rubber worker's family.
And I'd heard stories about the Great Depression from my family. My mother's mother, my grandmother, she and her parents lived in Steubenville, which is a steel center. That's where, that's another industrial valley in Ohio. So when I do this piece, the apron that I wear actually belonged to my great-grandmother, who was born in 1911. And I think about my grandmother, I think about my mother, I think about my great-grandmother, and who they were, and how they raised their children, and I think about women in general, what it is to be a woman today, facing some of the issues that, you know, politically, obviously have been kind of in your face as of late, but definitely the fight that those who came long before me had to fight, which was much harder than the one I'm fighting right now.
When I can read my title clear to mentions in the skies, I'll bid farewell to every fear and
The third one, the population is probably at its peak, and then from there on out starts to dissipate down. And then I think with contemporary issues, I think that they kind of coincide with today's time.
Guarantee of notice before changes in wage rates. 4, we got the 6-hour day in the tire department and a 40-hour work week in all other departments. That's the key to the settlement. We want the 6-hour day.
As an actor, as an artist and a performer, I want to reach the audience on a different level. Not just, hey, I'm performing this, but make a true connection with them and really help make them feel and understand that there is a connection that we maybe take for granted and don't see or feel or experience every day in your normal, ordinary life, that it's possible in the theater. And it's difficult to portray that or tell someone, hey, come to have this experience when they're not sure what you mean.
Hearing some of those political songs that, you know, I'm really familiar with, and I felt that the actors were very in tune with the strikers from the 1936 strike, and so especially the last few scenes were just really captivating.
I have withdrawn my men from the attack.
Give them a cheer, fellas.
You create a vibration when you emit a sound and a word. It's almost an act of creation. But it's an act of creation that is not immediate. As I say, it's not a magic moment. This is another thing that we don't touch. But is a small, a slower process. And we hope that if the actor and if what we were able to create is just and true, the fruits will come.
It's home, you know, yes, I live 15 minutes away, but I don't feel like I live 15 minutes away. You know, I feel like I live in the square or downtown or, you know.
And I guess that is a definition of community, you know, that it can outreach wherever you are. There's an outreach of people from here.
Akron for me, I always tell people, like this, I think the slogan for Akron for me is, it's a little bit of awesome. Because it's a small town, but it has so much.
And there are a lot of challenges. There's a lot of poverty. The Akron Public School Systems, which I worked for a year as a substitute teacher, are a mess. There's all kinds of problems that are systemic, and you know, the roads suck and that kind of stuff. But I never felt home anywhere until I moved to Akron. I felt like I could walk outside and go to a restaurant, go to the store, and just be me. And I didn't have to try to be anybody else. And I'd never felt that before. And I owe that to the people, I think. So that's what keeps me here.